Welcome, DeAnna. This is, again, I feel really honored that this is the very first session of this series. And it's really the interview series honors those who have answered the call to serve humanity. It's about people who have developed healing modalities and invented solutions of life challenges, accepted their spiritual gifts, and devoted themselves to a life of service for the awakening and well-being of others. So each conversation is a sacred exchange meant to illuminate the guest's path and inspire listeners on their own journey. So welcome. Sorry
Thank
for
you.
that little bit of emotionality. My goodness.
It's beautiful.
I guess we're beginning.
I guess we are.
I always notice when I get that burst of emotion, it's just such a beautiful recognition of the spirit manifesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'd like to read the introduction to
sure.
so that people can understand who you are. So you have been working in the healing arts since 1980, involved with deep tissue massage, rebirthing, infant massage certification training, and now a practitioner of resonance alchemy. That's quite a transition.
Yes.
Vibrational long distance healing, and this is from the form of healing that comes directly through your teacher, Catherine Parker, from the Palladian Galactic Star System.
Yes.
It is vibrational and acts as a tuning fork for the receiver. So it really is a vibrational transference from source. I call it from source to ground. So these vibrational sounds are coupled with the intention to create an objective of healing the human matrix and tuning the field to the higher octave of one's energetic capacity. And having received your work, it's incredible. I know right there in the moment, each time I've benefited from receiving and participating, it's really quite profound. So this talk will be all about this work and how it can exist with peeling away the false self and stepping into our highest potential. So yeah, tell us all about it, DeAnna.
Well, I'll start with Catherine Parker, the woman I learned it from. And about 12 years ago, she lived in Crestone, where I live, for about 5 years. I learned her work, but the way this came to her, she was meditating, probably 20 years ago, and taken into an out of body experience to the Pleiades. And these blue beings said, we're going to download a form of healing into you. Use it with your existing practice. Keep an eye on what happens, and we'll be in touch. And
Hmm.
she was back in her body. And then she did it for 10 years. Then she wrote a book about it. And then when she moved here, she started training people. So I was in her early trainings. And because I had been a hands on body worker and in a very different system, I just thought, I can't do this. It's just, I can't do it. But I took to it rapidly, which was surprising. I was using it with animals all over the place
Hmm.
and seeing things happen. Then my dog had a stroke and her back legs quit working. And I did 2 energetic spinal alignments on her, and she started walking normal.
Hmm.
And I said, oh my God, I have to learn this. I have to, whatever it takes. And on a regular basis, she gets upgrades in her meditations from those who send her this. And she said not too long ago, it's now also Syrian, Arcturian, and others. So it's coming from our galactic family to help us make this leap. And her website is resonancealchemy.com for people who have an interest in checking this work out. So over the years, I have done this with animals and we humans as much as I possibly can to develop a skill set, an effective skill set with this work. And I've seen many things happen, many things. And every now and then there's someone I just can't help.
Mm.
To be very honest, it's not for everybody, but it is for people who are shooting for the ascension. Because not only does she have systems that heal the emotional, psychological, physical, mental, and spiritual bodies, including chakras, DNA, so many things. Then she has upgrade frequencies for going into the higher frequencies. And I've been working with a group of about 10 people every week for the last 9 years doing this work. And we've done so much clearing of the body, mind, spirit part of us. And then every time we're finished with that part, we download higher frequencies into the places we've cleared. And what I just learned from you in a channeling is the way it works. It comes through the light body first, and then the light body informs the physical body, and the upgrades occur beyond the session, and it keeps going for about 3 days beyond the session. And for myself, I was told 12 years ago when I first met Catherine, I had to have a double hip replacement because I had gone down a flight of stone steps on my back and cracked my pelvis and then traveled internationally on a pinched nerve for a year. And I was a mess. And in that 9-year period, I did have one hip replacement, but because of these frequencies and remineralizing my system, I don't have to have a second hip replacement. So that's my testimonial to what it's done for me. And in the people that I have in this group, I've seen a great deal of softening in their reactionary patterns. I've seen that in myself also. The charge is just so much less. When you're reacting to something that might be troubling, it's amazing how, and it's subtle. Sometimes you can't tell what's happened, but over time, these changes happen. So I hope that's a good explanation for what this work is about. It's vibrational, it's energetic. I've worked completely long distance because I live in a very remote community in the mountains of Colorado. So I have to work remotely. But things still happen to people. And again, those who've been doing work on themselves anyway, it works the best for, because there's not so much sludge in the system to get through. That's a long answer.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. What you're saying too about the energetic frequencies that sort of get infused with the subtle body and make their way into the physical, yes, what I call the body-mind matrix, is pretty profound in the fact that they're coming from our intergalactic source. Tells you a lot right there about what this work is really about. It's not just about, healing, although it does. It's tremendously transformative, as you say. But it's also about enlivening our higher senses all the way around.
Yeah. And it actually does do that. I couldn't see it in the beginning. It was just too foreign. But in 12 years' time, I've seen a lot of things happen. A lot. And I've also noticed that in the group that I work with, there are some who know they have a galactic origin. Some have mentioned they're Pleiadian, some have mentioned they're Arcturian. Those are the people who vibrate quickly to this work. There's something about that. Not that other people can't benefit, but I think a lot of us are here from other locations in our galaxy and beyond to help this big change that's happening to humanity. And I learned from you in a reading. I have a Syrian background. So that somewhat explains why I took to it so quickly, because I couldn't leave it alone, but I had no idea why.
Yeah, that curiosity, right?
Yeah.
The people that I have been that through the channel have been identified as Syrian. That's your quality is curiosity and getting to the truth, only the truth and nothing but the truth kind of thing in terms of universal truth.
Yeah. Or a greater truth than we have here. And humans have been in a very limited expression in the past cycle, the Kali Yuga, which I understand is ending. And it's a dark cycle that lasted something like 26,000 years. So we've been compressed into less than what we really are. And this system really helps that to crack loose and open up. And the constant upgrades of your frequency, you do respond differently and better and less charged, as I've said. So
Yeah, the revelations, what I found in the work is the revelations that come to me after I've received the work. Like you did a session for our group when we were in Colorado.
yeah.
And the revelations that came not just during the session, but after, and actually for many months after that, I felt like it sort of put me in a different kind of time-space continuum, if you will, in terms of my understanding of what I was being shown.
That's really helpful to hear, because I didn't know that. And what I did in Colorado when you were here was the ascension codes for that group.
Yes.
And the ascension codes, once they're downloaded into the system, when the time for that fully activates, so will they, if that helps.
Yes. Yes. What I experienced was the level of awareness of pieces of the puzzle that I'd been sort of being shown and told by the guides. In my own awareness, I felt like in my life I couldn't get to them. Sort of like having an understanding that there's something more, there's some interconnecting piece of wisdom or knowledge that's there, but you need a piece in between to connect the two. And you don't really know what it is exactly, and you don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
But what I found after that session, when I was in my meditations and my dreamings, and it's like that all just kind of opened up for me. And of course, the feeling that I get when I experience the opening is just a flood of well-being and bliss.
Wow, that's really helpful to hear. It's always very helpful for me to hear feedback from people because
Yeah.
I took to this fast, but on the other hand, it's still a mystery on a certain level.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what to expect from it. And the other piece is we're all different. And so we all get different things from it. And I'm always fascinated by how differently people experience things.
Yeah, I'm
And
wondering, excuse me, I'm wondering too, with the feedback loop that you might get from people that resonate, like with the various their intergalactic origins, because obviously we're all in a human form, but I'm wondering how, like, say, for instance, an Arcturian would react as opposed to a Pleiadian. I know for sure that I've got the Pleiadian star
ah,
origins in me.
okay.
At least I was told that a very long time ago by someone who could see what was happening with me.
Yeah. It makes sense because your response to the ascension codes, um, in my point of view, was much more than a lot of people would feel, much more. And it is like a foreign language when you first hear it. We have, she calls these activation syllables. They're vibrational sound syllables, and we have them in mantras. In Buddhism, there's many, many mantras, and it's the same thing. It's a vibration coupled with an intention to create a certain reaction. But you speak to it so directly, I can tell you're from someplace out there. And I've heard you talk about Pleiadians being in guidance with what you do also.
Yes, yes.
And I just wish when they finally start landing on the planet, they will land here. I'm going to say, I speak your language.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is like learning a foreign language, isn't it?
it
And
is.
yet, my one-time trip to the south of India, I remember so clearly the experience of speaking English to a non-speaking person in that country, knowing full well that we were not communicating. The words that my words and the other person's words were not connecting. There's something that with the mind, the way our minds are hardwired and programmed, even though you switch things around, you don't connect necessarily. But the language of the heart, the soul as it connects to the heart with the work that you're describing, as I've experienced, you hear the sounds and you know that they must mean something, and I'm sure that you have the translations because I've heard you speak about that. And yet what I experience is you don't really need to know the meaning so much
No,
because you can feel the frequency come in.
yes.
So the corollary between needing to speak a foreign language per se and literally communicate mind to mind, you just bypass all of that with your work.
Yeah, and soon I will be starting a monthly group to take people through a process with this work. And it's going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours so that we can go deep into releasing certain things that interfere with our frequency upgrades, like stress, tension, trauma, anxiety. Your nervous system needs to get recalibrated so that you can calm down to receive these things.
Yeah.
And and um I don't have the date in place yet, but if people want to know about that, I will do a free talk first. Give people an experience of the syllables so that they can tell if they resonate or not.
Yes.
And later see if they have a shift in their matrix. So there will be a free talk first, and then the date will be set for the monthly group that meets. So if people want to know more, they should email me. And I can type this also in the chat, my email. And I'll also type one set of syllables that's all about downloading unconditional love into the system. And what I recommend for people is that if they feel a connection to it, use it as a mantra. It's very easy. It's Krile Ama. And I'll type that in the chat too.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Because it's one thing to hear about it, it's another thing to do it. And then when you do it, you'll have a stronger sense of, nah, this doesn't really touch anything. Or like me, I need to hear more of these things. Where can I get more? How's there more?
Yes. Yes.
So I'll have those typed in the chat for people. And hopefully, those who feel the call to the galactic system. And I live in a town where there's a lot of Buddhist influence, and I call myself a galactic Buddhist. Because they use mantras to do the same thing.
Well, this is ancient technology, yes. If an intuitive is receiving this directly, and then she's passing it along to the rest of the embodied intergalactic community, and then someone like yourself picks it up and begins to teach it. So there's the capacity to upshift your frequency through the use of a mantra.
So, and we have mantras. We've had mantras for a long time. And as one who's participated with the Buddhist mantras, they're not in our language. But it doesn't matter. The vibration is what matters. The vibration goes into your light body, then down into your field, and has an activation, like a tuning fork.
Yes.
That tunes things. And sometimes there's immediate response, and sometimes not. For example, every time we do our group for an hour once a week, that night I sleep the best I can possibly sleep. Something, no matter what it's about. And I go through many of the biological systems to release old traumas and retune them to this higher frequency so that they upgrade. Because to do the ascension, it's not a small thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. And this peels away the false self so the authentic self can come forward, and it tunes the authentic self to do that, to come up and activate. And I've seen some very beautiful things happen for animals. And to put in one more thing, I can do private sessions with people also. So I'll continue typing my email into the chat. But This work is magic. That's what I think. It's magic. It's a magical tuning fork. And if you are one who's already done a lot of work on yourself, it tunes more quickly. There's not so much sludge to work through because we humans have accumulated lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of all kinds of unresolved experiences, you name it, it's in there. And you have to clear that away for the higher frequencies to activate. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, so you brought up a really, really good point. I was in my mind, so many of the Eastern traditions provide a mantra, and the primary mantra is usually it calibrates your frequencies to a master teacher. And what you're speaking about is actually unlocking some of the density that's held in the body's matrix, in the subtle body. And so it's attuned to actually a purpose. It's a clearing process.
Yes.
As much as an ascension process. So what you're saying, and I've experienced this, having been through such an intense activation process early on in my life, where there's all this intense Shakti coming into the body, and yet there's all this density, this resistance, the mind, what the guides call the mind miasms, a minefield, and that high frequency hits the mind field, and it can cause migraine headaches. It can cause intense backache, body sensations, shaking, night sweats. All of those are the really intense reactions when you encounter high frequency. And I used to say, there's something wrong, there's something wrong. And when I would consult just about any master, especially the Eastern masters that I could encounter, they would say, no, everything is right. Everything is right. You should count your blessings. But what the technology you're teaching is all about something that it sounds like someone can infuse these within their consciousness. And I'm guessing there's a repetition to it also.
Yes.
And you're guiding them through this process so that I'm guessing you're being guided and you're monitoring what you feel that is necessary for any given session. And then the person can take it and they can repeat it and see how it's interacting with those mind miasms themselves as things open up.
When I do private sessions with people, all they have to do is lay down at a time when we decide it works for them to do that. I like to do it in the evening because then it works through their system through the night. Then I send them an email of all the activations I've done, and then they let me know how they feel. And what I tell people to look for is, do you feel lighter? Like something has lifted? Do you feel less reactive to your concern that we did the session about?
Yes.
Or if it's a physical problem, and humans, they have all kinds of millions of physical problems. We look at, is there improvement there? And the session keeps working for 3 days beyond what I do. And a lot of times I'll listen to what it is they want, and then I'll use a pendulum and go through my activations. I have tons and tons. This covers so much of the human matrix. It's everything, even things I wouldn't have thought of. And I ask, which ones does this person need? And that's what I do for their session.
Yes.
So again, there are people who respond quickly and rapidly. There are others that are much slower. And what I've noticed, the ones who've done work on themselves in other ways have a cleaner matrix. There's not so much to clear out.
Yes. It's almost like preparing the neural pathways to accept the
Yeah,
higher frequencies.
that's a good way to say it.
Yeah,
Very good.
it's like this continual practice and clearing and practice and clearing. And then when you encounter a vibrational resonant field that's coming in that is causing an inner stirring and clearing, you're much more likely to sense it or pick up on it.
Yeah. And every now and then when I work on somebody, it'll push things out. It'll push out traumas. And so they feel that as it's leaving. And for me, that's a good sign. We're very used to quick fixes where we want it to be gone and everything to be fine right away. I'll give you an example of myself. One time, Catherine was doing a group to send syllables to Japan after they had had a tsunami. Or no, they had had something with their nuclear site go wacko. And I had so much come up that I couldn't get out of there fast enough. And I got home and jumped in bed and pulled the covers over my head and didn't come out till the next day. And what that pushed out of me was when I was a little girl, about 6 or 7, I saw the first atomic bombs go off in the desert of Nevada.
Oh, geez.
From 100 miles away. And it was so massively huge. It's beyond description. I didn't even know that was in there.
Wow.
It took 3 days for me to feel normal again. But it did a huge job of pushing that out of me. That I don't know what else would have gotten to that. I didn't even know I carried that. So there are times when people feel pretty rugged after a session. And what I have to explain is this is what's dissipating. This is an old trauma. Maybe you can recognize what, or maybe you don't, but it's an old trauma coming through your system. Sometimes I do more at no charge just to help it lift out faster. And sometimes it's very helpful to take an Epsom salt bath afterwards because that helps things come up and out and detox. And they are detoxing, like my story about myself, something old from their past. They might remember it, they might not. It might be from this life, it might be from several back. We don't know about that part. We just have to trust that it's coming up and out, but usually in 3 days it's gone.
And I always tell people they don't have to remember it either. They don't have to process it as the traumas are coming up and leaving. It's just pure energy. You don't have to revisit all of that and do it all over again to release it from your body. So that's another, I think, benefit from what you're saying.
Yes.
And from my experience of your work too, no matter what is presenting in the moment, no matter how heavy it is, when I come out of that experience and realize that the lightness that I feel is there. The heaviness was when I went in, and the lightness coming out of it.
Yes.
It's like going through a car wash and getting your car clean. You go in dirty and you come out clean, kind of thing.
Yeah. And it does take some help to help people know what to look for. And that feeling of feeling lighter, has something lifted. That's very helpful because sometimes people can't say what's different.
Yes.
But something is. And it's a bit of a mystery. And then that takes me back to the reactiveness we have to a stimulus. You just don't react the same way with so much all over the place. It's something has softened. And when those things are lifted out of the system, then the ascension process can act better. It can happen more clearly, more thoroughly. And again, I think this work is so helpful for those wanting to go to the ascension process. And it doesn't sound like it's actually all that far away. It sounds like there are groups, first, second, and third, from the sources I listen to, that will go through it. But we're not looking toward the future for this anymore. There's a lot that's here.
We've arrived.
Finally. And it's what we came for, but at the same time, it's like, yikes.
Yes, yes. And it's like you're looking for something to achieve or to realize that you don't really understand exactly what it is.
Right.
It's like the Helen Keller moment about the connection to the meaning of water or the word of water. You don't know it until you know it. You don't
Yes.
know it until you discover it. And then you say, oh, but I've known this all my life. And so the guides are always saying that it's frequency. The future of medicine is frequency based solutions. And so you're talking about the soft science, the human science, as we connect to our intergalactic source. That is, sounds like it's so powerful. And of course, having experienced your work more than a few times, I can totally attest to how my body interacts with it, with the frequency.
But you've done a lot of work too, and that's why you react so well, so directly. And I might add that a few years back, Dr. Emoto had this book, Messages in Water, and he did research that proved that water responds to emotion. Well, the
Yeah.
waters in our body respond to the tuning that happens through these sound frequencies. And yes, initially it seems like a foreign language, but then after a while, it's just not so hard, not so foreign.
Yes.
And at private sessions, people don't have to worry about that part. I just,
They just receive.
yeah. But when I'm doing groups, we go through the sound frequencies and say them. And she says, my teacher, Catherine Parker, that it's best, most powerful said quietly, silently, not out loud. I would have thought the other way, but that's not what she says. So that's how we do it. And it's pretty simple. And I'll start this monthly group very simple.
Yes.
So people can get used to it. But it can be a monthly kickstart to a frequency increase. And then you can hold more and do more and go higher. And you're advanced, in my opinion. So you went higher quickly. But I think most of the people interested in your work are advanced and go higher quickly.
Yes, most of them are teachers, and they're teachers or visionaries, channels, intuitives.
Yes.
and what it sounds like what you're saying is it's like the building of a muscle. You're in training your body, mind, consciousness to accept these higher frequencies through repetition. And the
Yes.
variety, it sounds like, as to what you're teaching. So to start from the beginning, like anything, if you were to engage in any training program, for instance, physical training, you start slow and you work your way up.
Yeah.
So on the energetic level, it sounds like that's what you're saying also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you keep adding to your vibrational upgrade. And since I've been doing this group every week for 9 years, I can see that, especially in myself, but also other people. I've seen, and they can't always speak to what has changed, but they keep coming and they
Yes.
keep wanting more.
Yes.
So, on one level, it's very subtle for me because of my hip situation. That's not so subtle.
Yes.
To not have, I don't have pain, nor do I limp on my right side anymore.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I used to have quite a limp and a lot of pain.
Wow.
And it it amazes me that that changed. Well, what am
Yes.
I doing that would change it? This work and remineralizing. So that too helps a lot because I don't think our food carries the minerals it once did. Um,
Yes. So what you're talking about is really all the systems, the physical, the nutritional, and the frequency based systems all work together, and which
yeah,
makes total sense.
yeah.
Yeah. So what would you recommend in terms of someone who is on their path? And so you describe in the beginning that you first started out as a body worker,
Right.
and which is physical. So you were working on the physical, and of course, the physical and the energetic levels to me are so completely interconnected.
Yes.
Uh, and when you said you first found it challenging to make that transition, it sounds like what you were talking about is your belief about that it could work, and yet your spirit took to the work right away.
I think there is some of that very present because I just was so accustomed to working someone's body to get a shift to happen. And I think I did have a belief that long distance work, what can that do? Uh, Truly, I did.
Yes.
And then when my dog had a stroke and her legs came back online, it blew my belief system out of the water. And I just knew I had to learn it no matter what because it worked. And I'm here to help people. And I'm also very interested in the ascension process. And, um, ascension isn't for everybody. That's fine. It's not their time. But I've had my attention on that since the mid 80s.
Yes.
And I do feel that this prepares one to hold those codes when they activate.
Yes.
And I think there's many tools out there that work great for people. This is my tool that I offer. But you got to
Yes.
have something,
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Because to just pop into ascension, unless you're a very unique individual,
Yeah.
because we've
So
got so much stuff to clear out. Oh my goodness.
exactly. So speak to the actual ascension process. You say you've been a student of it since the 1980s. So, and where has your attention been all this time in terms of your perception or your understanding of that and the bridge that this work offers to help people to achieve that or to know that they are in a different space in life?
That's a tricky question to answer. For me, in the 80s, I was involved in the rebirthing process and released a mountain of things out of my emotional body. But in that group, there was a channel. And so much focus was placed on ascension. And in those days, you could have been burned at the stake for even thinking the regular person could ever achieve something like that. That was not possible. Yet that too helped me start clearing out my emotional body at a level it was amazing. A tsunami of tears came out of me through those years, 7 years. But it also created an imprint that this is a possibility for the regular person. You have to work to get your field clear and to get your activations at that level. But the help is out there if that's your process in life.
Yes.
And again, I don't think it's simple when we're so identified with our traumas, or not even that, say our work. We're so identified, and I've been there.
Yes.
With our work or anything. We
Yes.
can't step out of that box. I was identified with body work as the way. I had to go through many changes to see that this vibrational work can work. Because it's subtle, you think, or I did. Let's put it that
Yes.
way. I just didn't see how it could work because I was working with density in the
Yes.
body. But now I'm on the other side of that equation, and I realize subtle things really can work and do work. And again, for people who've cleared out a lot of things, it works better. I think I
Yes.
said that a lot, but it's true. And speaking on that note, body work is good for beginners because it does get into the tissue and move things. And between that and breathing a lot, well, the person working is doing their work, things move. That's
Yes.
density. And this seems, as I've said so many times, to work best with people who've cleared their density, but they've done that. They're ready for
Yeah.
something else.
Yes.
And I think as we go through our healing stages, people do, myself as an example, go to more refined levels the more you clear out. And
Yes.
that's very helpful. And then to download the ascension frequencies in that field prepares one for that time that I don't think is so far away, actually.
Yeah, my sense of it is we are already here. But it's like anything. It's how do you find a bright light in the middle of the darkness? Well, you have to turn the light on first to guide your way. And so that's what this frequency based these systems are all about, because they literally are. That is the bright light coming into your system. It acts as an elixir. And I always tell people we all have direct knowing, but if you have clouds and clouds of density around you because you're so in your stuff, you can't possibly see it. So there is a process in which you can begin to lighten and brighten up, but we all need each other.
Yeah.
And that is one thing from the very beginning the guides have said is during the time of Christ, there was many helped the one. And in this timing, we are all helping each other,
Yes.
where we all ascend together.
Yes.
No one is ever to be left behind.
Yes.
So that's why I really love your work because it's the many helping one another. We're all doing it together.
In my words, we jerry-rig each other into enlightenment.
That's great. That's great.
But it also speaks to our attraction, because Crestone's one of your light centers, and you and I have known each other for a long time, and I don't think we would have this magnetism we've had if we weren't on that path.
Exactly.
In our own unique ways. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I love magnetism.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, DeAnna, do you have any last words for folks? I know that we'll put your description and the mantra that you have certainly in the chat that you've
It's there.
created, and we'll circulate this far and wide to
Thank you.
begin the process so that we both are recognizing and fulfilling our heart's desire, which is the entire purpose of this new speaker series. And so, yeah, and I hope that we come back and have other conversations about these things.
Yes, and thank you so much.
Yeah, to monitor your progress.
Well, thank you so much for including me in this, because I feel it's time for more people to know about this work. I'm feeling that push inside.
Yes, yes, so true, so true. I really get that in general, that it's really time for the innovators and the healers and the teachers to activate and to come out of the closet. I know so many of us have been sort of in these word of mouth, almost in cloistered kind of communities where
Yes.
we have helped one another, and yet now it's time to share our work more at large so that
Yes.
others can understand and see what's going on there.
Yes. So thank you again for including me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. All right. Thanks, DeAnna.
You're welcome.